What's up, YouTube fam? It's Facts Mom with today's video, man. Today, man, we are reacting to how ancient humans survived in the prehistory. You feel me? Look, yeah, I don't know, but let's get into it.
Imagine waking up tomorrow. No phone, no grocery store, no running water, no heating, just you, a forest, and approximately 10,000 things that want to kill you. That's Tuesday for our ancestors. We talk a lot about ancient civilizations, Rome, Egypt, Greece, but those guys already had it figured out. Bread, wine, slaves to do the laundry, comfortable. What I want to talk about today goes much further back, way further. We're talking about the people who had nothing. No agriculture, no cities, no concept of a weekend, just raw, brutal, beautiful survival. And somehow, they
Quick question. Do y'all think y'all would survive that time? Like, be honest. I look. You think I would? Nah, man, I ain't gonna lie. I probably would. I don't know. I don't know. I probably would. I probably wouldn't at the same time. That's one thing I do wonder. How do they do survive? But hey, we're gonna figure out in this video. You feel me?
pulled it off for hundreds of thousands of years. So today, we're diving deep into how prehistoric humans actually survived. Not the
Okay.
sanitized museum exhibit version, the real thing. The fire, the fear, the weird food, the social drama, and the absolutely insane mental fortitude it took just to make it to age 30. Let's go. Before we give credit to our ancestors, let's be honest about one thing. If you or I were dropped into the Paleolithic era right now, we would be dead within a week, probably day 3. Honestly, you don't know which berries are poisonous. You don't know how to start a fire without a lighter. You can't track an animal. You can't build a shelter. You can't even read the weather properly.
I can smell rain though. Did that count? Rain count? I mean, I can smell rain. But you right. I don't know how to build a shelter. I mean, I know how to do a fire, but not a shelter.
Probably drink bad water on day 1,
Okay, I'm
spend
stop
day
yapping.
2 with catastrophic stomach issues behind a bush, and by day 3, a cave bear would smell you from half a mile away, and that would be that. Game over. But here's the fascinating thing. Our ancestors weren't born knowing this stuff either. They learned it, across generations, slowly, painfully, through a lot of trial and error. And by error, I mean death. A lot of death. The human species is essentially the result of millions of years of people figuring out what not to do. Every piece of survival knowledge that made it to the next generation was paid for in blood, hunger, and probably a lot of frustrated grunting. So let's break down exactly how they
There.
did it. Here's something nobody tells you about prehistoric life. Ancient humans thought about food approximately 90% of the time. The other 10% was split between sleeping, reproducing, and panicking about predators. And honestly, fair. Finding food in the Paleolithic era was not like opening your fridge at midnight. It was a full-time job with no salary, no guaranteed outcome, and a real possibility that the food would try to kill you before you killed it. Hunting was the glamorous part, the stuff we put in paintings, big mammoths, giant bison, woolly rhinos. But let's be real, most of
Hold up. Do y'all think they be like hunting like how we hunt nowadays just for sport? Or do you think they would have to hunt to like get food or shit? Like even if they have the food, do y'all think that they go hunt and like just hunt for sport? That's what I want to do.
the time, early humans weren't hunting mammoths. You know why? Because a mammoth is roughly the size of a school bus and has tusks the length of a sedan. Early humans with sharpened sticks had to be extremely creative, extremely patient, and extremely lucky to take one down. What they actually ate most of the time was smaller game. Rabbits, birds, fish, insects. Yes, insects. Packed with protein, easy to catch, delicious if you're hungry enough, which they always were. If you're making a face right now, remember that half the world still eats insects today and considers them a delicacy. You're the weird one. But
Bro, exactly, bro. Like imagine somebody walk up to you and say, "Hey, you want some chocolate covered roaches?" And that actually is real. I don't know. It's probably like in I wouldn't say Asia or India, but it could be. It could be. Don't take my word. But you feel what I'm saying? Like people would literally eat earthworms. Like, let me stop shaking it. But you know, people guys eat earthworms or they eat like cockroaches or June bugs, and it's like you just hear them that whoosh, and hear that crunch. It's like, all right, bro, get out of my face, if I punch you, bro. Ain't lie, ain't
hunting,
lie.
even small game, was only part of the equation.
Mm-mm.
The real unsung hero of prehistoric nutrition was gathering. Women, in most hunter-gatherer societies, were responsible for gathering, and studies suggest they actually provided the majority of the group's caloric intake. Roots, tubers, nuts, seeds, fruits, berries, mushrooms, leaves. They knew the landscape like a map. They knew which plants were safe, which were seasonal, which could be stored, which could be used medicinally. This was not casual knowledge. This was encyclopedic, generational, deeply sophisticated botanical expertise. A prehistoric woman identifying which mushroom was edible versus which one would make your organs shut down was performing a cognitive task that would genuinely impress a modern biologist. And then there was the truly underrated technique, scavenging. We used to think scavenging was what you did when you failed at hunting, the loser option. New research suggests it was actually a deliberate, skilled strategy. Early humans would follow predators, lions, hyenas, observe a kill, then use noise, numbers, and fire to chase the predator off and steal the carcass. Bold, absolutely. Effective, extremely. Safe, debatable. The point is, prehistoric humans were not picky.
Debatable.
They ate what was available, they learned what was safe, and they developed a nutritional flexibility that is genuinely remarkable. A modern human raised on processed food would have the dietary resilience of a tissue in a rainstorm. Our ancestors could eat almost anything, almost anywhere. Let's talk about where these people slept. The word cave comes up a lot when we talk about prehistoric humans. Cavemen, cave paintings, cave bears. And yes, caves were used. But here's the thing, caves are actually pretty great real estate if you think about it. Stable temperature year-round, protection from wind and rain, defensible entrance, natural structure that requires zero construction. The problem? There aren't that many caves, and the ones that exist were often already occupied by animals who were significantly larger and angrier than any human. So our ancestors also built shelters, and this is where things get genuinely impressive. Archaeological evidence, some of it over 400,000 years old, shows early humans constructing shelters from branches, animal hides, bones, and mammoth tusks. They were building.
Yeah, is that how like teepees are made and like homemade tents like the people be doing off of YouTube, like they build those houses and stuff? So basically, they were doing it 400,000 years ago, and we just had that technology to advance it. Yeah, our ancestors did a lot for us. I ain't gonna lie.
Architecture before they had a written language, before they had metal tools, before they had anything we'd recognize as technology. The construction logic was sound. Angle branches against each other to form a frame, layer hides over the top for waterproofing, weigh down the edges with rocks or bones to keep wind from ripping everything apart. Inside, line the floor with dry grass or more hides for insulation. Result, a structure that's warm, relatively dry, and invisible to aerial predators. Not bad for someone who invented it from scratch with no YouTube tutorial. And here's a detail that I love. Evidence suggests prehistoric humans were intensely aware of wind direction when placing their shelters. They positioned entrances away from prevailing winds. They built near water, but not too near, close enough for convenience, far enough to avoid flooding and the predators that gathered at water sources at night. These weren't random choices. This was environmental literacy at a profound level. They were reading the landscape and making calculated decisions based on patterns they'd observed over years. That's not instinct, that's intelligence. Then came the best invention of all time, fire. Fire is the greatest invention in human history, and nothing.
Quick question: do you ever wonder about who made fire the first time? Do you think like they're sitting there going like they made it and they go like "Wah, wah, 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 wah," or like there was like ooh fire? We probably don't even know words. We're filming a whole bunch of like grunts and stuff. Like, what do y'all think? Because I look, you think the person that made fire, they probably got burned. I ain't gonna lie. They got burned and they thought fire was bad. Then somebody walking around with fire was like, oh wow, fire is safe. Right? That's what I think. But let me know down in the comments.
Nothing else comes close. Not the wheel, not the internet, not antibiotics. Fire. Here's why. Before controlled fire, humans were basically just slightly smarter apes. With fire, everything changed, all at once. Cooking transformed nutrition. Raw meat is hard to chew, hard to digest, and often full of parasites that will absolutely ruin your month. Cooked meat is tender, easier to digest, and vastly safer. The caloric extraction from cooked food versus raw food is dramatically higher. Some researchers argue that cooking literally accelerated human brain development because we were suddenly getting more energy from the same food, and that extra energy went straight to fueling our expanding brains. So in a very real sense, fire made us smarter. We cooked ourselves into intelligence. Warmth extended the range of environments humans could survive. Before fire, you basically had to live somewhere temperate. With fire, you could push into colder climates, higher altitudes, you could survive winter. Ice Age Europe became habitable. Siberia became crossable. The entire colonization of the planet by Homo sapiens was enabled in large part by our ability to carry warmth with us. Light extended the productive day. After dark, without fire, you do nothing. You sit in the dark and hope nothing eats you. With fire, you can work, talk, make tools, plan, socialize. Firelight extended human cognitive and social activity by hours every day. Protection kept predators away. Most animals are terrified of fire. A fire burning at the entrance
Is this just me, or does bro sound like he's rapping? Is it just me? He sounds like he's literally rapping. I'm probably tripping.
of your shelter means wolves, lions, and hyenas keep their distance. It's an alarm system, and a fence rolled into one. And then there's the social dimension, the campfire. Humans sitting around a fire together, sharing food, telling stories. This is where human culture was born. Oral tradition, mythology, social bonds, all of it incubated around a fire. Some anthropologists call it the first technology of community. How did they make it? Multiple methods, depending on era and location. Striking flint against iron pyrite creates sparks. And if those sparks land on dry tinder, fungus, fine bark fibers, dry grass, you've got fire. Friction methods. A wooden stick rotated rapidly against a flat board also work, though they require technique and stamina. Both methods were known and used by prehistoric humans, and both require far more skill than they look like they do. Try it sometime. I dare you. Come back and tell me how long it took. Then, there is the single most important survival truth of the prehistoric world. You could not survive alone. This cannot be overstated. A lone human in the Paleolithic was a dead human. Too slow, too weak, too vulnerable. No claws, no venom, no shell, no camouflage. Humans, biologically speaking, are laughably unimpressive as individual organisms, but as a group, terrifying. Hunter-gatherer bands typically numbered between 20 and 50 people. This was not random. This was the optimal size for survival, large enough to share the cognitive load of survival knowledge, coordinate hunts, and defend against predators, small enough to be fed by the local environment without depleting it. Within these groups, roles were not rigid, but they were real. Experienced hunters shared knowledge with the young. Elders who could no longer run were invaluable repositories of environmental memory. They remembered the drought of 40 years ago, the migration pattern that only happened every decade, the plant that grew after wildfires. Their knowledge could save the group. Children were collective responsibility. Everyone helped raise them. The concept of "it takes a village" isn't a metaphor. It was literal survival policy. Conflict within the group was genuinely dangerous, because a fractured group was a dead group. This created intense social pressure toward cooperation, toward fairness, toward reading other people's emotions and intentions accurately. Some researchers argued that the complexity of human social life, the gossip, the politics, the emotional intelligence, was the primary driver of human brain expansion. We got smart not to build tools, but to manage each other. The interpersonal drama of prehistoric life was probably spectacular, by the way. 50 people, extremely stressed, living in each other's pockets 24 hours a day, no privacy, scarce resources, and genuine mortal stakes. If that's not a reality show
I
waiting,
ain't gonna lie, bro. Like, imagine you're in a group, and then like, it's just you just can't do it, bro. Like, bro, like imagine you trying to pee and you got a guy looking over your shoulder or looking in front of you, looking at some nice meat, bro. Like, come on, bro. Come on, bro. Or like, think about how much food they had to collect for 50 people. To 30 to 50 people, bro. That's like they gotta collect a lot. And like, what if happens someday? Some people don't eat. Now that person's mad, and what if the next day they don't eat? Now everybody's throwing hands like it's the Diddy party. Come on, bro. We gotta lock in. That's crazy though. I wouldn't want to live back in that time. I would not made it.
to happen, I don't know what is.
Mm-mm.
But there's still another problem. You get a cut today. You clean it, put a bandage on it, maybe some antibiotic cream. Done. You have a fever, you drink water, take some ibuprofen, sleep it off. In prehistory, an infected cut could kill you. A bad fever could kill you. A broken bone could kill you. Childbirth regularly killed women. Tooth decay was genuinely life-threatening, and yet people survived, even to old age sometimes. How? Herbal medicine, first of all, was far more developed than we tend to assume. Archaeological evidence shows prehistoric humans using plants medicinally. Yarrow for wound treatment, willow bark, which contains salicylic acid, the active ingredient in aspirin, for pain and fever. Ephedra as a stimulant. Various plants with genuine antimicrobial properties were applied to wounds. This wasn't magic. This was empirical medicine. Try this plant on this wound. Does it get better or worse? Remember the answer. Tell your children. That's the scientific method, just at a slower pace, and with higher stakes for being wrong. Wound management included cleaning, packing with certain clays or mosses, and using animal fat as a barrier. Were these as effective as modern medicine? No, but they were something, and sometimes something is the difference between life and death. Bone
Yeah.
healing evidence is genuinely moving. Skeletal remains from the Paleolithic show healed fractures, complex ones, that would have required weeks of immobility. This means the injured person was fed and cared for by the group while they couldn't contribute. It means cooperation, compassion, and social investment in individual members who couldn't pull their weight temporarily. That is not primitive behavior. That is
That's dope.
civilization in its most essential form. We've talked a lot about physical survival, but let's take a moment for the psychological dimension, because I think it's wildly underappreciated. Imagine the baseline stress level of prehistoric life. Every single day, you face the real possibility of starvation, of predator attack, of illness, of injury, of losing someone you love to any of the above. There is no safety net, no insurance, no doctor on call. That is an immense psychological load. And yet, the evidence suggests prehistoric humans were not crushed by it. They created art. They buried their dead with ceremony. They decorated their bodies. They made music. They told stories so complex and meaningful that those stories shaped entire future cultures. They had a relationship with joy, despite living in conditions that would send most modern humans into a full psychological breakdown by the end of
Yeah.
week one. How? Partly community. Being surrounded by people you trust, who depend on you, and on whom you depend, is one of the most powerful psychological stabilizers known to humans. Even today, depression and anxiety are strongly correlated with social isolation. Prehistoric humans were almost never socially isolated. Partly purpose. Every single day had clear, meaningful tasks. Find food, maintain shelter, care for children. There's no existential void when you have a genuine, survival-level reason to get up in the morning. And partly, and this is the bit that I find most fascinating, they had ritual, ceremony, burial rites, seasonal celebrations, rites of passage. These weren't just superstition. Ritual is a technology for managing the psychological weight of uncertainty. When you don't know why things happen, ritual gives you the feeling, however illusory, of agency, and that feeling of agency is psychologically protective. We still use it today, we just call it different things. But the question everyone's asking is how our ancestors managed to survive for hundreds of thousands of years without ChatGPT. No. Seriously, how did they manage to survive for so long? People with our exact same brains and bodies have existed for at least 300,000 years, possibly longer, and our genus, Homo, goes back nearly 3 million years. For the overwhelming
Oh, wait. So, who was, like, think about it. Who could be the first, you know, human, right? I believe Adam and Eve, but, people like to believe Adam and Steve, right? But, I'm just asking, like, who, like, how was, like, think about it. They're like, oh, now I'm born. How did they know all this? They got to test and error. You might let Jimmy eat something before our dad go, and now you know he's in a coffin. Like, what? Your buddy rolled an ankle. The ankle's so bad that he's gone too. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Like, you can't get close to nobody really. That's what it seems like. If you get close to them, and what if they get mauled by a bear? They're too slow. They shouldn't eat that extra donut last night, right? And they get mauled by a bear. Like, that's crazy though.
majority of human existence, people lived the way we've been describing today. Hunting, gathering, sheltering, cooperating, adapting, generation after generation after generation, across ice ages, droughts, volcanic winters, continental migrations. They didn't just survive, they dominated. By the time the ice retreated and agriculture became possible, humans were present on every continent except Antarctica. They had crossed land bridges into the Americas. They had navigated open ocean to reach Australia. They had lived through the Toba supervolcano, possibly the closest our species ever came to extinction, and rebuilt from what may have been a few thousand surviving individuals. That is not luck. That is an extraordinary, almost incomprehensible resilience. So from now on, when your pizza is delivered 5 minutes late and you yell at the delivery man, remember that somewhere on Earth 69,000 years ago, your great 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 grandfather had to fight a huge 700-kilogram cave bear just to decide
But think about that though. It's like that's crazy. Imagine throwing hands with a bear. But no further ado, if y'all like this video, like, comment, subscribe. See y'all next one. Peace.